WHBC. They say nothing's free in this world. Oh, our website is.
A monthly subscription?
That's not us.
No paywall here.
Free and easy. That's our website, WHBC.com.
It's filled with local news, sports features, and schedules.
Whenever you want it.
Podcasts, pictures, videos, and more, all at WHBC.com.
You can put your debit card away. We're free.
Just turn us on. 1480 WHBC. Just turn us on. WHBC AM 10. Reliable as ever. Powered by Friends and Family Credit Union. It's time to bring a friend into the family. On News Talk 1480 WHBC. Live from the studios of News Talk 1480 WHBC. It's Kenny and JT.
Oh, it's Friday. We love Fridays because we're involved with the Pro Football Hall of Fame and their residency program. And each and every week they bring us a different Hall of Famer. And we are thrilled this week to have the opportunity to talk to a Hall of Famer who we watched growing up, right?
Yeah.
When he was slinging the football all around the field for the San Diego Chargers. Dan Fouts joining us in studio here today. How are you, Dan?
I'm with Kenny and JT. How else could I be?
Boy. Life is, you sound like Marv Levy. Life is good, right? Very good.
Where would I rather be?
Right here, Canton, Ohio with us.
Buffalo?
No, you don't want to go there. So, Dan, part of this residency program, we ask this of everybody, right? The Hall of Fame came up with this. Great idea. You guys come back for the Hall of Fame weekend and the parade and everything, but there's very little time to do much, right? But with this residency program, they've got you out doing a bunch of things. Why was it important for you to come back for like almost an entire week here?
Well, it's part of the deal, I think. It's a chance to give back for all the years that people were so good to you as a player, fans. And, it's rare that you can spend time saying thank you to the fans over the years. And you talked about the parade. That's one of the great things of all time, and it's something I have to ice my face afterwards because it's sore from smiling and laughing. But it's great to hear. Welcome back, Dan. Welcome home. This is your home, Dan, and all that. And with the residency program, there's so much that we do. So many people we do, and it's from the age of 10 to 100. And we spend time, and I heard that it was a great deal. I've experienced it now, and it's just it's rare to have win-win situations where it's a win for everybody.
Dan, growing up in the West Coast, Canton, Ohio had to be a million miles away. When did it ever become evident to you that at some point in time you might visit Canton, go to the Hall of Fame, be a great player, and be inducted into the Hall of Fame? Either one.
Well, we played in the Hall of Fame game here in 1980. I'm sure you remember.
The Lightning game?
Yes, the 0-0 tie game,
yes.
Which was great. And usually I don't like to, talk about games where we didn't score. But I only played one series because it was the first game of the preseason, that extra game. But it was a Monday night game, basically on a Saturday afternoon.
Okay. Wide
world of sports, and it had Frank and Dandy and Howard in the booth calling the game. And it was a horrible game. Neither team could score. We're against the Packers. And then the lightning and thunder hit around I think the middle of the fourth quarter. Mm-hmm. And thank God, because we rushed to the locker room, which was a gymnasium.
Right, field house.
With the cordon cut in half by a curtain. Packers on one side, Chargers on the other. And our coach says, "Pack it up, boys. We're going home." And we were like, "Yeah." And the Packer players heard that on the curtain, and they're going, "Hey, what about us?" And Forrest Gregg was their coach, and Forrest said, "No, get dressed. We got to go out." And the referees came in. I remember Jim Tunney was the official, and he says, "Come on, they're ready for us to start the game. This is a big deal. Monday night, crew is here doing the game." And Coryell says, we're packing up, and we're leaving. And we got on the plane and flew back to San Diego. It was a meaningless game, obviously. Right. Mm-hmm. And it was raining and, thunder and lightning, and we didn't want to get struck.
Kenny, there's lightning coming over the north bleachers, and it's unbelievable that anybody would even take the field. Today's date, you don't even go out onto the field.
No, and we had some guys that weren't quite used to what to do in thunder and lightning. We had one guy hide under the bench. And we said, hey, John, his name was John. We said, John, the bench is metal.
I was thinking that. I'm like, yep, that's it. That's not where you want to be.
Well, he wasn't with the team long after that.
Oh, boy.
Smart move there, making that decision. For you, growing up as a San Francisco 49ers fan, you and my partner have something. Well, you have a couple of things in common. Yeah. You were a ball boy for the 49ers. He was a ball boy for the Cleveland Browns. You played college football. He played college football. He was a wide receiver, though. You were a quarterback. You were a broadcaster. He's a broadcaster. So, I mean, you guys are like brothers from another mother.
That's what we have in common. What we don't have in common is you were good, I wasn't, in all of the above. But this is a football that when I was a ball boy with the Cleveland Browns, a Pete Rozelle ball that I kept. Or
borrowed?
I kind of ended up with.
Yeah. And you filled it up with hot air.
Yes, it did.
So some things
been doing
never
it to this
changed.
day. That's right.
A lot of it.
It's awesome.
So as you're going through your career from high school to college at Oregon, and then you get drafted by the Chargers, and I was reading your bio, about your dad moving you from one high school to another to be seen and get that scholarship and everything. At what point did you know, hey, yeah, this is going to take me somewhere, this game of football as a quarterback?
Well, I wasn't thinking about really long range. I was thinking about the next game or the next practice and how I can stay in the lineup and continue to play. Scouts came around the high school, St. Ignatius in San Francisco, because we had a really good team. And we won the city championship. We had 11 guys off our team get full rides, which was a phenomenal number. And I was fortunate enough to be one of them. We did not throw the ball very much in high school, but we won a lot. So that attracted the college coaches. When the letters came out, I got one letter basically, and that was from the University of Oregon. So that got me started. And when I got to Oregon, we had outstanding coaching staff. Jerry Fryer was our head coach. John Robinson was our offensive coordinator. George Seifert was our defensive back coach. A couple of guys, Gunther Cunningham was one of our coaches. Bruce Snyder, who went on to coach at Arizona State, was another coach. So we were well instructed by our coaches. Too bad we didn't have a better quarterback.
Come on, man. And it's amazing, too, because we didn't obviously get to see a lot of those Pac-8 games back then over here in Ohio. But once you got drafted in the third round, I believe, with the Chargers, obviously it becomes larger than life a couple of years into your career. Now, you had great wide receivers, but I was reading and I was thinking about Don Coryell and everybody from the gym to every day when we're talking about, hey, Dan Fouts is going to be here. Ask about Don Coryell. I'm thinking about Don Coryell, and I went back and I looked at you're inducted, and he gives you the speech to induct you into the Hall of Fame. What made his offense so prolific? Did it have, we know Air Coryell, but was it a run and shoot? It was a quick drop. It's no shotgun. What is it?
It's Air Coryell is the title, and that's what I thought it should be Air Fouts, but it was Air Coryell. It was a simple offense that appeared to be very complicated to the defense. It was based upon attacking the entire field, 100 yards long, 53 yards wide.
Okay.
And so if we're backed up on the 2-yard line or so, his thought and my thought at the time, make them defend 98 yards of field. So throw the bomb on first down, back them up, give them the doubt or the thought that we're going to go after them. So they become a little bit softer. When's the last time you saw a quarterback get sacked in the end zone? It's rare because they don't want to, have that.
They're going to run it.
They're going to run it on out. So anyway, the big thing was for me, we would send 5 guys into a pattern each time. And I never really knew, breaking the huddle, exactly who would be my primary. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And in that progression, the defense is dictating to me who that guy is. And the beauty of that is that the 5 guys, they don't have the inclination that they're number one. So they're running as if they are. Okay. So, and the eye in the sky, the film, is showing guys loafing if they're not number one. You see that all the time. So anyway, and he made it fun. I mean, it's fun to throw the ball, and it's fun to catch it, and it's fun to make big plays. And I guess the biggest thing, though, is the talent that I had to throw the ball to. Two Hall of Famers in Kellen Winslow and Charlie Joyner, Wes Chandler, John Jefferson, who could have been Hall of Famers in different circumstances. And then you think about Little Train James and Chuck Muncie and guys like that, Gary Anderson. And the common thing with all these guys is they're smarts. And they had to adjust so many of their patterns on the run based upon what the defense was doing to them. We always put a guy in motion to give away what it's man or zone. We shifted guys to overload one side or create mismatches on the other side. It was a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Who was your idol growing up? Did you have one, a player, whether it was a quarterback or not, that you watched or idolized and said, I want to be like him?
Not really, but because my dad was the voice of the 49ers, there was some perks for me.
Right.
I got to be a ball boy on the sideline, and I was always on the opponent's sideline because I wanted to see, I wanted to see Johnny use crew cut, okay?
Okay.
I wanted to see how tall Roman Gabriel really was.
Nice.
I got yelled at by Dick Butkus one game, I thought he'd hit a guy late, and so I was yelling at the official from the sideline as a ball boy. And he told me, shut up, kid. So, that type of thing, it was great. But John Brody, was because he was our quarterback during a lot of those years. But, I saw Bart Starr. I saw all the greats. Frank Ryan came through there. It's just.
That's amazing.
For a high school kid to be on the sideline at Kezar Stadium when the 49ers are playing and, place is going crazy. And just to see, I remember watching Gale Sayers bring back opening kickoffs. And and I always wore a red 49er jacket because when the camera would pan the sidelines,
see yourself.
I saw him, hey, there I am.
Yeah.
I got a towel and I got a ball.
That's smart. It stood out.
So we have a lot of more football that we can talk about, but I want to ask about, your father being the voice of the 49ers, and of course you were a ball boy. Is that where you cut your teeth, or knew at some point in time that post-football career you'd want to be in the broadcast booth?
I wanted to try, because when I wasn't on the sidelines, I would be in the booth next to my dad, keeping stats for him. And, in those days, each team brought their announcers to do the games. My dad would do the first half of the Packer game. Second half would be done by Ray Scott. Remember Ray Scott? Wow. Same thing with Jack Buck would be in the booth. My dad would do the second half. Jack would do the first half.
Wow.
And so to hear those great voices and the different styles, and then to be able to work with so many great broadcasters myself, I've been so lucky and so blessed.
We were going to talk about a couple of great games that you played. We're going to get into those, the Miami game and the Cincinnati game. But I was telling Kenny, and I told him at 3 o'clock we signed on, I got to ask you this question. In your broadcast career, which was longer than your playing career, what comes to mind? I mean, is there like a special moment or an aha moment or a game that was like the greatest that you ever called as a broadcaster, not quarterbacked?
Well, that's an easy question. The Texas USC national title game at the Rose Bowl with Keith Jackson.
Oh, Nelly.
Wow, greatest game
And
ever.
it was Keith's final game. And if you ever want to hear a tremendous broadcast of a tremendous ball game, that's the Vince Young game where he scored the winning touchdown. Keith's final call, he said, it's 4th down for the national title. Young going for the corner. He's got it. And that was it.
Simple.
Yeah.
Keith was the
Jackson.
best. Yeah.
And the first game I ever did with Keith, he would, he starts out, he does the lineups on both sides, 1st down, 2nd down, 3rd down, punt. I haven't said a word. We go to commercial, and he says, well, Fouts, are you going to talk sometime today?
I love it.
I said, no, I'd rather listen to you. Why would I want to ruin the broadcast?
Such a rarity, right? So many guys want to jump all over the play-by-play guy when something great is happening. That's the exact opposite. I wrote this list down. Dick Stockton, Vern Lundquist, Brent Musburger, Al Michaels, Keith Jackson, Don Crickey, Dick Enberg, and Ian Eagle, the Bird and the Beard, when you were in the booth together. You played with some Hall of Famers, but that list right there, what was it like? I'm jealous. I've been in this business 30-some years. You got to work with some of the greats of the greatest, right?
The absolute greatest.
What was it like? And each one of them is great in their own unique way. What was that like?
Well, the first thing is the voice, okay? You didn't even have to say their last names. Brent, Vern,
Right.
Dick, Keith, Al. Their professionalism, their preparation, their style, their class. And the style and class goes beyond the booth. It goes to the men that they are and the men that they were. I learned so much from all of them, and I miss them all because each guy, you spend a lot of time together. And so you start to finish each other's sentence. You start to, sometimes you think alike, sometimes you absolutely think opposite, and that's okay too. So it's a great, great list. I'm so lucky to have been able to work with so many guys, and, that is a murderer's row, if there was one.
You ain't kidding.
It's unbelievable. I remembered a couple, and then I did a deeper dive, and I'm like, no way. Wait, this guy too? Right? And I watched you play. I watched you, in the booth or listened to you on radio, and I was just blown away by that many different. Don Crickey's voice. I grew up listening to Don Crick. You know what I mean? That it just
It's before cable.
Yeah.
We don't get all the games.
Right. So those guys were, to me, in what I wanted to do, they were kind of like my heroes. I looked up to guys like that because that's what I wanted to do.
Absolutely. And it's different now. Unfortunately, it's kind of cookie cutter.
Yeah.
As you said, there's a different vibe to the game and a different energy. The biggest thing that these guys would help me with is we would let the game breathe a little bit and let the fans at home digest what just happened instead of being force-fed all the information and action at one time.
Happy to have with us Dan Fouts, Pro Football Hall of Famer, class of 1993, part of the Hall of Fame residency program, and he's in town. Hopefully you've seen him out and about. Where have they had you so far this week, Dan?
Where haven't?
Okay, that's another way of putting it. So tell us about it.
Well, this morning I went to the Cardiac Rehab Center at Altman Main Campus. After that, we went to the Canton Regency to visit with the assisted living facility there. The luncheon yesterday for the Awards of Excellence, where we honor 15 gentlemen who have contributed to the game as equipment managers, athletic trainers, assistant coaches, film and video directors, and PR directors. 15 gentlemen got recognition yesterday. It's the third time we've done this event, and I've been lucky enough to be the MC for all 3 of those years. We went to visit with third graders, which was really a riot. And then we saw a group of kids get off the bus today in front of the hotel. The team was called the Eagles, and a couple of the coaches had the jacket on, which is a dead giveaway, recognized me. And these kids were 10 to 12 years old and just full of life. And the coaches, they kind of went crazy because there was a chance to see a Hall of Famer and everything. And we had a great time just visiting with them. And they're here for a tournament, football tournament, obviously. And we asked them, well, are you guys going to be able to go to the hall? And they said, no, it's we don't have time or whatever. The real reason was it's expensive at a group that big. So my wife, Jerry, who sitting right over here, decided, let's buy their ticket. And so they had a tour of the Hall of Fame today. Wow. And it was, see, that's what I mean about this whole program. It's a chance, to do something good. And the Hall needs to continue and just really focus on the younger crowd to get people into the museum and to learn about the greats of the game. Whenever I come back, and I come back every year to the Hall, when I go through the bust room, I always start with the first class. And it blows me away to see those names of who started pro football here in Canton, Ohio.
You know, it's interesting for me. I grew up about 1.5 miles away from the Pro Football Hall of Fame, been going there my entire life. In fact, the Hall of Fame was erected in 1963. That's the same year I'm born. We would spend our summer times there. We'd go through the hall and we would look at the bus. And back then, it wasn't put together in groups. Like your class is all together, and that's a heck of a class with Walter Payton, Bill Walsh, and others. But we used to just go down the line and we would see these guys, and some of them would ring true, some of them we'd remember, and some of the old timers we never had heard of. Now, we had heard of Jim Thorpe because he's from Canton, Ohio. We knew Marion Motley. He's a Canton McKinley guy, and you know, he was good friends with my uncle, so we would see Marion Motley walking down the street, or he'd come in and actually install the bathroom in my grandmother's house. It's Mr. Marion, it's Marion Motley. No big deal. But now we look at it a little bit differently. We're a little bit older now. We have much more respect for the things they do, and we really appreciate what you guys do. Come back and spend a little bit of time with us. And one of the other things, we had a couple of Hall of Famers in before you. The one that I keep remembering is Jim Covert. Jimbo Covert, plays for the Bears, 1985. Greatest defense, arguably, of all time, greatest team, blah, 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 whatever. But he was in WrestleMania 2. So when I found out that he was at WrestleMania 2, my mind goes right to wrestling. We're big wrestling fans. That was the era of Andre the Giant and others larger than life. But you, sir, were in the movies. And we keep seeing about the Waterboy, and we wanted to know how much time you got to spend with Adam Sandler.
It's not plural. It's movie. I was in a movie.
It's just one?
Actually, it might have been just a film. But that baby has legs, man. Let me tell you.
It's a cult classic.
Thank you.
It's a classic.
Well, you had to have somebody at the end of the movie to really bring it all together.
Oscar worthy?
I felt, supporting actor.
Okay.
I felt so responsible to explain exactly what the coach on the other sideline was doing. It was brilliant, Brent.
It was outstanding.
But the best part of the whole movie was to be able to tell Brent Musburger to shut up.
How great is that?
Imagine.
That's what was that experience like? Film. I mean, you played in the NFL, pressure situations, right, and all that. So a movie set, and you're doing Adam Sandler, super movie star and everything, and all the people they brought together. What was it like being on the set? How many days were you there just to shoot the scene you were in?
We were there for about a half an hour.
That's it?
That's it?
No, Adam was great. Oh, he was fantastic, and just a great guy. He hands us a script, and we're trying to read it. We're just in a studio. We're not at the game or anything. There's a green screen behind us,
Okay.
that whole thing.
Right.
And it sounded terrible what we were doing because we were going off the script. And Adam says, cut. You guys do this every Saturday, don't you? And we said, well, yeah, we call games. And Adam says, well, I'll give you the premise and you just run with it. And, okay, this scene, he says, is it going to be a kickoff? The ball will go to the 30-yard line, and the guy will return it all the way. And Brent says, that's not a problem. And he just went, all right, here we go. And, he got cranked up. And we just had a ball with it because Adam would, instead of a stupid script, he says, I'll tell you what the scene is. You just ad-lib it. And so we did. And I did it. There's one point where I asked, the line was, they're playing like poop.
Yep.
And I wanted to use a couple of other words. And he goes, no, not that one. I said, well, how about poop? He says, yeah, poop's funny. So I said poop.
That's awesome. Yeah. So, John Candy, Bill Murray, Dan Fouts, ad-lib. I mean, you always hear about Second City, and they ad-libbed everything. That puts you in that category with those guys, I think.
Well, I've been waiting for Larry David to call about Curb Your Enthusiasm, and I'm still waiting.
You're going to wait a little bit longer.
Yeah,
they canceled
the series is over. Yeah.
How about the greatest uniforms of all time? And I'm sporting one right now.
Geez.
You guys never, when you played, got to wear this color, though, did you? the powder blues.
Yes, we did.
You did?
Yes, my rookie year we were in powder blues.
Ah,
Yeah,
they
and
should
we
have
were
never changed it.
Well, we were 2-11-1.
Well, then they should have changed it.
That's why we've changed it. I think.
Greatest uniforms ever, though.
I don't disagree with you. No.
I'm not a Charger fan, but when I saw this jersey, I had to have it. And I've got the Bambi jersey, the Lance Allworth jersey, number 19, which is arguably the greatest jersey of all time, except for number 14. And I couldn't find a powder blue number 14 Dan Fouts jersey. But I've got a Barry Sanders jersey, a Don Maynard jersey, a couple Buckeyes jerseys. And when I was a ball boy with the Cleveland Browns, a guy by the name of Duriel Harris, number 84, was let go during a game that I was a ball boy, and seemingly somehow that jersey ended up in my collection. I don't know how.
My goodness, yeah. Well, you can take the shoulder pads off now.
It's just a big shirt. I can't help it.
Well, those are big shoulders there.
One size fits all, Dan.
Dan, the powder blue, that color, right? I grew up in Pittsburgh, so I'm a Steelers fan. Black and yellow. But even as a Steelers fan, I remember John Hadel, 21, right? The powder blues, Lance Allworth, and that. Yeah. And for what is it about that color combination? Regardless, like powder blue Tar Heels in North Carolina, right? That's a popular. What is it about that combination though with the Chargers and those throwback uniforms that people still love them to this day?
Well, I think it's a combination. First of all, the name Chargers is unique, okay? And the story behind that is that the owner at the time was Baron Hilton of the Hilton hotel chain, okay? Conrad was his dad.
Okay.
And they invented the credit card. And so they wanted to pump up the credit card by saying charge it. So that's why he called his team the Chargers.
Really?
Yeah. And see how much you're learning here?
I am.
It's unbelievable.
I'm shocked I didn't know that.
And I'm giving you such a good rate. So anyway, it's the name. It's the lightning bolt, which is unique. Nobody had lightning bolts.
Right.
Nowadays, everybody's trying to do something like that. And then the color combination and the style of play that Sid Gilman, the original head coach of the Chargers, installed, and what Don Coryell really gravitated to when he was at San Diego State. The two of them would get together and have a cocktail or two and draw plays on a napkin. And so that whole thing about charge, lightning, throwing the ball, and entertaining the crowd, I think it's a perfect combination.
That's all. I did learn something here today. Is Oregon still home for you now?
Yes.
How about this? We just found out one of our local teams, the Massillon Tigers, Division II state champs last year in Ohio. They are going to be playing in the Nike Classic this year.
Wow, outstanding.
And we're actually going to call the game. So we're going to get a chance. I've never been to Oregon, so going to get a chance to go, call a high school game that's considered, a big deal, obviously, if Nike's involved in everything.
Yeah.
What is that? Have you been to that campus, the Nike campus?
Well, as a matter of fact, I have. And when you get there, check out the Dan Fouts building, will you?
No.
Of course.
Really?
Well, I was one of the first endorsees of the product, and I got to know the Nike. In fact, for 2 years, back in the day, I worked for Nike in the off-season. And my job was, this was before apparel companies gave free shoes to schools and to athletes and whatever. And so we had a program where we were going to go around, because Nike this was in 1980, really just getting started. My job was to go around with a couple of the executives to schools like Penn State, USC, Ohio State, Notre Dame, Nebraska, Oklahoma, the top teams in the country, and offer the equipment man and the athletic trainer X amount of dollars, which basically was half of what they were making anyway. Okay,
Right.
And those days they weren't making much. And even the head coach, compared to what they make today, we offered him Y, which was a bit more, obviously. And so the pressure of these trainers talking about, hey, coach, this is a good deal. I get to take the family to, on vacation this year. But the other thing is, here's all the shoes you want. How many shoes do you need?
Wow.
And there was this funny little check mark on the side of the shoe that they call a swoosh. And that was the beginning of, giving out shoes and equipment. And it's grown now to where everybody is, got the swoosh on. We had a real question whether we could convince Joe Paterno, because of their uniform, black and white, the colors, the shoes were always black. And I don't even think they had white shoelaces. And we said, Coach, in order for this to work, they have to have the swoosh on the side of the shoe. And he says, what's a swoosh?
Sure.
And so we showed him what it was. And he said, no problem. Because he knew that the trainer and the equipment man could use the extra dough,
right.
And it was free shoes. So that was my job for 2 years.
It's a big
in
deal
the off
too.
season.
Yeah.
Because back then, back in the 80s, Kenny, I can remember, you'd go to Ohio State football camp or whatever, and you'd see the swoosh, you'd see the shoes, but you'd also see the name on the shoe. You'd see Bucks on the back. You couldn't buy those the way we can buy them now. Any website, any sporting goods store.
Yeah.
It was a pretty big deal. Now it's everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it's a great American success story
It is.
for a company because Phil Knight, basically, it was a thesis of how to start a shoe company. He took it to a Japanese company, Tiger, and they basically rejected his idea. And so he started Blue Ribbon Sports, which then they said, well, now we need a better name than that and so they figured that a name that had a hard sound to it, but it was also meaningful, Nike, not Nike. A lot of people called it Nike to begin with, but it's the winged goddess of victory in Greek mythology.
Right.
So all these things, came together at the right time.
So there's different divisions. Did you run around with Sonny Vaccaro at all, or no?
No, I wasn't quite up to that. That movie, by the way.
Well,
that movie, by the way.
Sonny Vaccaro's got some tentacles that reach all the way to Canton because we had relatives that worked alongside with him there.
Yeah, sure.
And that was the beginnings of the basketball division, but it didn't come into contact with you guys?
He came later.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. What did you think of the movie? Real quick.
Well, like any other movie, there's some truth to it.
Yeah.
I thought Phil Knight's casting by Ben Affleck was a joke. I mean, he had dark hair. Phil's blonde. I mean, come on, at least give him a wig.
You can do that with props and everything,
it's
right?
Hollywood.
Yeah, exactly.
But it was, it's entertaining when you know the truth and how it's spun. But that's okay. It was entertaining.
Professor Fouts today. I'm learning so much. I feel like I just took a
You could have
course.
played him in that movie. You're an actor.
Well, I would have rather have played Steve Prefontaine because I could really run fast.
How many rushing touchdowns?
13.
What's wrong with that?
Yeah.
Most of them quarterback sneaks.
That's all right. Hey, still, and you can tell people it was a 50-yard run. When we look up your stats, it just says 13 touchdowns. Rushing.
Yeah, but you got to dig deeper. You got to go to the YouTube and see the film because the eye in the sky don't lie.
That's true. Dan Fouts is with us. Go ahead.
Are you one of these guys? I mean, we see him, we hear about him, we've heard about the Nitschke breakfast or lunch, whatever it is, in the incoming class, and they talk to him. Are you one of the guys that gets up in front of the incoming class and tells stories about what it's like and what it means to be a Pro Football Hall of Famer?
I do once in a while if I feel it, and I've been coming back for 30 years. My class. You mentioned my class. Bill Walsh, Chuck Noll, Walter Payton, Larry Little, and myself, and it's just me and Larry left. And that's what I want to express to the younger class and the younger, the more recent classes is that you never know. This is your class. These are your brothers forever. And you got to bring them back. You got to come back. You got to respect the Hall of Fame. You got to respect Canton, Ohio. You have to respect what your career has meant to people, and this is a way of waving to the crowd at the parade. It's just making people feel good, and so that's my message. And I don't do it every year, but if I feel it, I do.
I drove by the parade route the other day, and now they're really embracing the fact that the Pro Football Hall of Fame is here after 60 years. And different things you'll see, different artworks throughout the town. You'll see now on the parade route, they actually, Kenny, I don't know if you've seen this even, they've got sections now. There's the Dallas Cowboys section. There's the San Diego Chargers section. Here's the Cleveland Browns section. So when you're riding in that parade next month, once you get onto that Chargers, I don't know if they're going to be L.A. or San Diego or whatever, but they're going to be Dan Fouts fans, and we're so happy to have you with us today.
Well, I appreciate that. I just hope that it's really a big
Well, we're gonna be in
section.
front of it.
Yeah, you better be.
Yeah, I'll be there.
I'll be looking for number
I'll find
19.
a 14 jersey by then.
Yeah, so well, we look forward to checking out the Dan Fouts building.
Yeah.
When we're out there for the Nike Classic and seeing you back here in Kent. So we're going to go there. You're going to come here and make it a family.
When you go into the building, there's a cafe
Yeah.
inside, and it's called the Air Coryell Cafe. And on the tables, there's about 6 booths, and they have asked me to draw a play and what the play led to. So Winslow touchdown against Miami, and it's all drawn up there for you on the table.
I will check
There's
that
2
out,
iconic
get some
games we
photos.
didn't
Yeah,
even get to.
yeah.
I just want to ask you about the game in Cincinnati. You had icicles on your chin.
Well,
that
it was
true?
cold.
What does a California guy do when you're in an ice bowl like that?
What does he do? Doesn't do good.
It plays a factor, right?
Well, it wasn't the cold so much as the wind. That's my excuse.
Yeah.
This ball is kind of weird shaped,
That's a bad one.
If you don't throw it like this, if you throw it like this, we're not on television, are we? But
We got Facebook. There you go. Yeah. Hey, Dan, we know you got to go. We could talk for hours here, but we appreciate the time you did give us here on the Kenny and JT show. Look forward to doing this somewhere down the road.
Kenny, I just two last things
Oh,
before we let
geez,
you go.
here we go.
When you go out to Oregon, can he have your credit card so he can charge it when he goes to that cafe?
okay.
That's a good one. And I want to know if I could catch a pass from you. before you
Probably
leave.
not.
I didn't think so.
Yeah, there you go. You drop it.
I can throw it, but can you catch
I
it?
don't know. It's got too much air in it, you said.
Hey, Dan, thanks so much for coming in with us today, and continued success, everything that you do. And we always look forward to you coming back to camp.
It's been a lot of fun being with you guys.
stuff.
Thanks so much. There he is, actor, professor, Hall of Fame quarterback, all of the above. Dan Fouts joining us here on the Kenny and JT show. Back with more after this.
The Roadman and JT on 1480 WHBC.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
If you own a time